Why are you a flat earther, sir?
Because it's ridiculous to think that someone can live on a ball, to think that water could wrap itself around a spinning ball, to think that people could be on the bottom of a fucking ball and be upside down because some magical thing called gravity is allowing it to happen.
Welcome to The Perspective with Kayo Hustle, and today we're tackling the flat earth theory and how anybody can believe that the earth is flat. Welcome back to The Perspective with Kayo Hustle. I am your host, Kayo Hustle. This is episode 4, and we're tackling the flat earth theory. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been here before and you ain't done those things already, shame on you. Today, we're getting into the flat earth theory and how anybody can believe the earth is flat. The flat earth community believes that the world is not a spinning sphere, but rather a flat disc surrounded by an ice wall, what we know as Antarctica. Many reject the existence of outer space entirely, claiming that celestial objects like the sun, moon, and stars exist within a dome above the earth. For them, this theory answers questions that mainstream science cannot or will not explain. One of the most prominent voices in the flat earth community is Mark Sargent. A former software analyst, Sargent has been instrumental in bringing flat earth theories into the spotlight. Through his online videos and documentaries, he's built a devoted following by questioning the very foundations of modern science. Let's hear how he got started.
Then it's like, well, I had an opinion on every conspiracy, but I'm still not going to look at flat earth because it's dumb. It's retarded, right? Then I thought, okay, well, I'm not getting any younger. Put it on my bucket list. It's like, oh, I'll shut down flat earth in a weekend. And the weekend turned into weeks, which turned into months, which turned into 9 months. And then eventually I realized I could not prove the globe in a court of law anymore. You think you can. Everybody does. The t-shirt reads, I became a flat earther because I tried to disprove it. And that's when in 2015, I just gave up. It's like I woke up, had that Jerry Maguire moment. I know you're using some pop culture references, where I woke up and I said, you know what? I give up. I'm going to make a series of videos out there, put them out to the hive mind of the internet, because the hive mind is very smart. They don't miss anything. And say, okay, I can't prove the globe. Tell me where I'm wrong. And the hive mind came back in mass.
Sargent's curiosity turned into a mission to uncover what he sees as hidden truths and share them with the world. His arguments have inspired many, but they've also sparked significant controversy.
So what about meteorites?
Yeah.
It's just part of the mechanical system. Whoever runs this place fires in meteorites, use some sort of railgun technology, metal ore, trying to not to aim at cities. If you can help it, try not to make them too big. Interesting, by the way, we don't get any decent shots in the water, or we have any decent footage. There's 6 billion smartphones. No one's showing any impacts while they're happening, but that's neither here nor there.
Meteors, according to Sargent, are not remnants of space debris as science suggests, but something entirely different, possibly linked to a flat earth framework. This perspective challenges the conventional understanding of space and physics.
So you believe it's a conspiracy that we went to the moon?
Oh, good Lord, that's just the tip of the
iceberg. That's a conspiracy?
Yeah, that's the tip of the iceberg there. And that is not, it's way bigger than that. What I'm saying is the only reason we have space programs at all is to keep this thing going as long as possible. I mean, they discovered it in 1960, and they said they figured out it was a real risk to civilization as we know it. They were afraid of what might happen. And so they said, okay, 1958, NASA was formed.
Like so many flat earthers, Sargent is skeptical of space exploration altogether. For him, the Apollo moon landing is just another layer in what he believes to be a global deception. Mark Sargent and others in the flat earth community are challenging ideas that most of us take for granted. Their views raise important questions about skepticism, trust in institutions, and how we interpret the world around us. But the question remains, are their beliefs uncovering hidden truths, or are they simply rejecting the overwhelming evidence of science?
I flew in Concorde, and I was lucky enough to fly in Concorde, and you get up to 65,000 feet, and I could see the curvature of the Earth. That was proof to me. Wow. How come that wasn't true?
And yet I could show you weather balloon footage from 120,000 feet, and it's absolutely tabletop flat. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, the world's most famous scientist, no offense to Brian Cox,
he'll come out and tell you, no civilian will ever be able to see the curvature of the Earth.
So is he lying?
No, I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm saying that you wanted to see the curvature. There's a big difference.
But don't you want to believe that it's flat? You have
No.
no proof. I have more proof than you do. I'm a bit of a space nut.
Sure. Sorry.
And so no. I mean, I'm very happy with that.
Right.
And I've got the app on my phone, which has got where the space station is right now. And I have, in the past, looked at those live pictures,
Yes.
and I have seen where the space station is and thought, right, it's coming over me now. And so I have watched the space station. You can see it has that light. It doesn't blink, doesn't flash, goes over as a solid light. And at the same time, I've looked at my laptop and I've seen where I am.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying there's something up there, no question. Is there a vehicle that could be the ISS up there? Yeah. Are there people inside it? No. Not a chance. And you can look at the interior footage and the production value is horrible. I challenge anybody. We've got
I've interviewed, both of us, we've interviewed Tim Peake from this sofa.
I know. And
So what was I doing? Who was I talking to? Where was he?
You were talking to a military officer, nothing more. I talked to Terry Virts, American astronaut. And look, they're all, you gotta remember, everybody that goes up there are high-ranking military. They start out at
But
colonel
why?
and go,
Why would he bother?
why would you bother faking it?
Yeah, why? What's the point of faking it?
Well, that's one of the bigger questions, which is why keep this thing a secret? And we're talking about,
No, but why fake it?
because if you don't fake it, eventually the private industry is going to get involved, and then they're going to find out on their own. This is
And why that would be bad? Because
if you don't keep this thing a secret. Remember, we're talking about something that was discovered back in 1960. The public wasn't ready in 1960. They just weren't. Their potential academically, economically, religiously, chaos, potentially. And so they weren't going to take that chance.
Were the Apollo, those massive Apollo
We've been to the moon, right?
Were those Apollo rockets that went up into the air, did they go?
They didn't go anywhere. They just went off into the ocean and ditched. Again, I'm an American. Look, we're taught, rah, rah, go team, wave the flag. And so it's tough for me because I love the American space program.
So you flew in a straight line to get here?
I did fly in a straight line to get here, yes.
And,
over a level playing
you've
field.
so we've got a dome over the top?
Yeah. So let me do this real quick. So the globe that you threw away, what we're talking about is we are all brought up, taught that we live on this tiny little rock that's covered in a little bit of water and smoke. We're flying through this impossible vacuum of space. We're saying that we live on a flat, enclosed world that is you're basically living in a big soundstage with walls and a floor and a ceiling.
The Truman Show.
The Truman Show. Yeah, very, very, very similar. That is so big that even our best and brightest didn't figure it out until about 1960.
That dude is pretty way out. Flat Earth community. I don't think it's a good idea from my perspective to have that man being the face or the spokesperson of your movement. Because who's going to take him seriously? Like I said, he could be actually saying some valid points that make sense, but the way he's delivering, I'm just looking at dude like he's nuts. You feel me? Now, what I would like to see is him debate Professor Dave. If y'all don't know who Professor Dave is, Professor Dave just recently debated, argued, packed out, cussed at, however you want to call it, whatever the fuck that was. Him and Lord Jamar, they had a pretty heated discussion, if you could even call it that. I'm gonna go ahead and run the clip.
Is so insanely stupid and can be disproven with like middle school level physics.
Really?
So yeah, we can go ahead and you can
Let's
rattle off
do
your
it.
debate
Show,
talking points.
do you have a
I'll tell you how
working
you're
model of a ball that has water sticking to the outside of it? Can you show me a
wrong. Okay,
working model
wet
of that?
a tennis ball.
But, yes, wet.
It has
Oh,
nothing
and
to
that.
do
But
with
no.
anything.
That's
What
not
do you
water
even-
sticking to
what
a
does that
ball.
even mean?
That's saturation of water on the
Okay,
ball.
so
I
let's
want you
see.
to show me where water sticks to the outside of a ball
Yeah.
as it spins. It doesn't go to the
Okay,
equator of the
so-
ball and
all right,
spin
buddy,
off.
I heard what you said.
Show
I heard what
me
you
a
said.
working
I'm not
model.
gonna talk
Shut
about
up.
it.
Hang on.
You said something very stupid.
Show
I'm
me
gonna
a
explain to
working
you how it's
model.
stupid.
Okay.
The reason that things stick to the Earth is because the Earth is extremely massive, so it generates a very large gravitational field. When water falls off of a ball, whatever ball you're talking about, to the Earth, it's because of the large gravitational field exerted by the Earth. So when you're talking about water sticking to a ball, your desired demonstration of gravity fails because gravity exists.
No.
Things fall to the ground.
There is
because of
density
gravity.
and buoyancy, sir. Gravity is not some
Okay,
magical
density is
thing
not
that
a
makes
force.
things
Density is a
drop
scalar.
to the
Density is
ground.
not a force.
It depends
And
the
buoyancy
medium
only
that it is
exists where
in.
gravity
If I
exists.
drop something in this
Hey,
water,
kiddo, shut
depending
up.
on how
Hold on. You
heavy it
can't
is,
just- no,
it's
like
going
you
to
can't do it. You
sink
can't just
or
talk over it.
float.
Wait, I want you all to talk, but
Density
I want to
is
hear
not
both.
First of all, this guy came out real disrespectful, talk about the stupidest shit. Like if he was in
Yeah,
this
it's the
room, I'd be
stupid- Dude,
smacking
you
the
just
shit
said
out
that
of
it
him
doesn't
right
matter
now.
if scientists study science.
Okay.
Yo, so you see, they had a pretty heated discussion. I mean, it's kind of funny how when a lot of other people get hit with facts, you know, they want to go to violence or insults. But you know, it's from both parties, because they was sure insulting each other like crazy. But I would love to see Mark Sargent and Professor Dave really have a debate, because the energy Mark Sargent has and his wild out personality with Professor Dave's blunt, cynical, shit talking self, like that debate would be for the ages. So can we get that set up? Professor Dave, Mark Sargent. Matter of fact, I'll mediate it. You feel me? I can moderate it. You feel me? Make sure everybody get their talking points and make sure it go up, and it's gonna do what it do, baby. Cause them two guys, that would be awesome. But Professor Dave has some great points proving that the Earth is a globe, and he's not using science to do it. He's using 3 simple methods: the moon, the stars, and the airplanes.
What is this object? It's the moon. We've all seen the moon. We've seen it many times. Look at all of these pictures of the moon. What do they have in common? They all show precisely the same features. We all see the same face of the moon. It doesn't change from night to night, and it doesn't change throughout the night. There is no denying this. You can't shout CGI. You can't cry conspiracy. It's the moon. We can all see it with our own eyeballs. It's there, and it always looks like this. Now let's place the moon above a flat disk and let it float around in the little magic circles you like to imagine. If the Earth was flat, would we all see the same face of the moon? Here is someone standing in one spot looking at the moon. They see this. Here is someone standing in another spot looking at the same moon. They see this too. And this person, and this person. You get the idea. So is this possible? No, because that's not how objects work. People on the opposite sides of an object can't see the same face of the object. So how, pray tell, do all people see the same face of the moon? Because Earth is a sphere and the moon goes around the Earth. It is tidally locked with the Earth, with one face always pointing towards the Earth. That's why everyone sees the same face of the moon, and that's the only way that everyone can see the same face of the moon. And guess what? The direction the moon is pointing even correlates with the observer's latitude. Isn't that something? Whether at the North Pole, South Pole, or anywhere in between, the orientation of the face of the moon that we all see will reveal your latitude on the spherical Earth. Today, let's look at the stars. Flat Earthers love to complain about how dumb it is to look up at the sky to determine the shape of the Earth, but that's only because doing so specifically proves that it's a sphere, and it's one of the ways we figured out that it's a sphere thousands of years ago. For example, if you're at a northerly latitude facing northwards and you watch the stars for a while, you will notice that they appear to rotate counterclockwise around a point in the sky. This point is roughly aligned with the star Polaris, which we call the North Star. If you were to then travel south for a while, you would see that certain stars are no longer viewable, and at the equator, all the stars move directly east to west through the sky. Then, heading towards the southerly latitudes and facing south, you will see a whole new batch of stars you couldn't see in the north, and they will again be rotating around a point in the sky, though this time clockwise instead of counterclockwise? Why can't people towards the outer edge see the same stars as people towards the center, and vice versa? What's blocking the light? Again, no explanation. Now, what would happen on a sphere that is turning? Standing up north, whichever point in the sky is aligned with the rotational axis would appear not to move, and everything else would rotate around it, just like we see. Standing in the south, same thing, but the opposite direction from their perspective. Also, any star that would require a line of sight that cuts through the Earth is not visible because we can't see through the Earth. That's why Southerners can't see Polaris and Northerners can't see the Southern Cross. But that's not all. Literally all observations of the sky from the Southern Hemisphere are utterly inexplicable on the flat Earth. Let's get even simpler and talk about man-made objects in the sky. That's right, airplanes. Let's revisit the flat Earth map, or the thing they pretend isn't their map, but it totally is because they can't make a map, so they just use this. Embarrassingly for them, this is actually an azimuthal equidistant projection of the globe. That's right, the flat Earth map is a map of the globe, taken from the perspective of looking down at the North Pole and flattening out its surface into a plane so that a three-dimensional surface can be shown in 2 dimensions. That's why everything is distorted with no consistent scale. Here's South America, here's Australia. Pretty far away, huh? If this map was taken to be precisely to scale, which it would be if the Earth was actually flat, then they're as far away as 2 places can get. Let's say we wanted to fly between Santiago and Sydney. If the Earth was flat, which way would we go? Well, the straight line path would go up across all of South America, all of North America, over Alaska, and then continuing all the way until we get to Sydney. So, do any airlines actually fly between these cities? Yes, they do. This airline flies between Santiago and Sydney 4 times a week. But which way do they go? Do they follow this straight line? Nope, they do the whole thing over the Pacific Ocean. Here's how that trip looks on a globe. It takes 14 hours and 15 minutes going west and 12 hours and 25 minutes going east. On a flat Earth, that route would look like this, an absurdly long and totally unnecessary arc.
Very, very informative. Very informative. I like the way Professor Dave delivers his information. He talk a little bit of shit too, man. You know, he popping it. Professor Dave really broke it down on why the world is a globe. I mean, really can't argue them points, but as I've noticed, flat earthers love to argue. So they hit those points, they rebuttal those points, they make up those points. I mean, it's really about the debate. Now, what they can't debate, or what they're scrambling to figure out, is the Antarctica thing. Now, recently, about a month ago, Pastor Will Dunn, or Duffy, let me make sure I'm saying this man's name right, Will Duffy, organized a trip to Antarctica. He came out with a website and a YouTube called The Final Experiment, and what he did was he offered flat earthers and globies, I believe were called, an opportunity to go to Antarctica. Now, the beautiful thing about this Antarctica trip is it is the straw that broke the camel's back on the argument, or is breaking the camel's back. If I'm even using the right fucking analogy, which I don't think I am, but we're just gonna roll with it. It is the final debate, because even the flat earthers say, if there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, that the world would be a globe. Their rebuttal to this statement that they all agree with is in unison. They all say that the 24-hour sun does not exist in Antarctica. They say it's made up. We're being lied to.
In order to fit the heliocentric globe model, this midnight sun phenomenon must also occur for observers south of the Antarctic Circle during winter solstice. Depending how far south the observer is, the sun should be seen for several days or weeks, never fully setting, just like it does in the north. In reality, however, there is never 24-hour sunlight anywhere in Antarctica at any time of year.
You mentioned the sun, right? Like the idea is, yeah, if you see the sun in the sky for 24 hours, that's what the globe predicts. And how would the flat earth explain that? But that's not what happens.
One of the arguments that people give is on a flat earth, you can't have a 24-hour sun, a midnight sun in Antarctica. And I totally agree. But there is no midnight sun in Antarctica.
In the flat earth model, we say there isn't a 24-hour sun in the south, and there isn't.
And there isn't? Well, buddy, we just clearly saw that there is. Jared Campanella went to Antarctica with Pastor Will Duffy and a whole bunch of other flat earthers, and they saw the 24-hour sun. So if that doesn't prove that the earth is round, I don't know what does. However, I'm pretty sure they're going to figure out some kind of model and some kind of theory that is going to state how the sun is up for 24 hours in Antarctica during the summer.
So obviously you all know Jaron Campanella of Jaronism, one of the most popular Flat Earth YouTube channels.
Not for long. All right, guys. Sometimes you are wrong in life, and I thought that there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it. But I respect Will Duffy for being a stand-up guy, at least in the way that he kept saying it was true. I kept saying it wasn't. He said, "You want to go? I'll take you," and brought me here, and it's a fact. The sun does circle you in the south. So what does that mean? You guys are gonna have to figure that out yourself. Don't listen to my beliefs or my opinion. It shouldn't matter to you, but at least you should be able to accept that the sun does exactly what these guys said as far as circles the southern continent. So that's about it. I realize that I'll be called a shill for just saying that, and you know what? If you're a shill for being honest, so be it.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. He saw the 24-hour sun. A converted globie from a flat earther, Jared Campanella. Now, like I said, everybody has been, well, I won't say everybody, but the people in his community definitely are giving him a hard time about this. They're saying the trip was fake, that they made it all up, that all kinds of nonsense. But if you go ahead, he went ahead and did a GoPro, and he's showing his trip flying into Antarctica. You did, seeing that he's definitely flying into Antarctica. Let's see, let's scroll, but we're not gonna run the audio. But you see the plane landing in Antarctica. I mean, they're all around in Antarctica. I mean, on the Final Experiment website, I believe they got drone footage. Look, it's a drone. And fucking, look, drone footage. You see the drone taking off at the beginning of the video. You feel me? So it's like, you see everything. Just look at it. Just the beauty of it. They really went to Antarctica, y'all. Almost called it Alaska. But they really went. Look, the 360 view. They really went. They really saw the sun rotate for over 24 hours. The sun stays up for days. So you got Jared Campanella's admission that he saw the 24-hour sun. You also have many of those guys saying that the 24-hour sun doesn't exist or didn't exist. It was a lie. So Pastor Duffy put together this trip so they can go down to Antarctica and film the 24-hour sun. Now, a bunch of flat earthers found every excuse to not take the trip. I mean, crazy excuses. I'm not even going to take the liberty to repeat. However, a few flat earthers did take the trip. And when they took the trip, one in particular, Jared Campanella, decided that he was changing his views because he saw the 24-hour sun. Now, granted, the people in his community turned on him like a motherfucker. I mean, called him a shrill or whatever it's called, a grifter, a mason, even if I don't know how that's an insult, but all kinds of stuff. And even went as far as to say the trip to Antarctica was faked. Well, they proved that they flew to Antarctica. So what they're saying is they built a studio similar to the dome in Vegas, where they simulated being in Antarctica. Although these people flew a drone in Antarctica, took it a mile in the sky, all of the above. I understand the thought process of the movement, where a lot of the people that are flat earthers come from, because the movement is basically comprised of a bunch of people that are tired of being lied to by the government systems. They're seeking truth. They're looking for the truth because we have been lied to. History has been rewritten. There is a lot of truths that we are finding out that were lies. I mean, one of them that I could remember was the fact that Christopher Columbus discovered America. And we all know that to be absolute bullshit. So that's just an example of some of the things that we've been lied to about. And there's so many other things that we've just been lied to about. So I can understand how the flat earthers are challenging the system. And I believe everyone should be questioning all information. Paul says in the Bible, question all things. You feel me? So questioning what we're being told, what we're being taught, I don't see anything wrong with it. But just blatantly throwing out the information that is presented and even found is nothing less than stupidity. I wanted to stay biased on this video and find a better word, but just from looking at a lot of the debates and at a lot of the conversations discussed between the flat earthers within themselves, it's not a lot of intelligence going on in a lot of those conversations. It's just a bunch of name calling. It's a bunch of word salads. I mean, please argue with some intelligence, and maybe the argument might be seen a little bit different. Now, granted, I love that the argument itself has inspired open thinking. It's opened a lot of people's minds to really seek the truth. And again, I don't see anything wrong with that. But there has to be a fine line drawn on when we are starting to realize that the information that is being presented to us is truth, because it is proven not only scientifically with our own common sense and our own two eyes. This has been The Perspective with Kayo Hustle. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. and make sure you tune in for the next episode.